It's been a sad week. We have all the editorials and editors forum. Series of killings hit the country this week. From the Marketing and Public Affairs Manager of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Josephine Asante, stabbed at her residence at Community 25 in Tema, to lead investigator of Anasis Tiger IPI, Ahmed Hussein Swale, shot dead in Medina.
Why are very dangerous? What in Medina here? We share many of our panasu or buy a premises at the mistake.
Reckless conduct of sitting on your media, putting out a young man's picture there, inviting the world to go beat him up, and that you'll be responsible and pay for it. You should ask questions.
You see, the way you are talking as if said he's better than judges who have stroke now. He's better than those who have died. I wanted Ghanaians to know who is behind Anas and doing those criminal activities.
The NDC is concerned with the general insecurity in the country. There is furor on the international front. The world's attention now on Ghana. Government is unhappy about the situation. Ahmed Swale has since been buried in line with Islamic customs. May his soul rest in peace.
The family is ready and willing to cooperate and work with the law enforcement agencies to get to the bottom of this matter.
We have all the angles when our conversation takes off. It's also being another Men's Gold Week. The Men's Gold crisis has finally taken a political dimension.
Number one, sponsored the MPP and President Akufo-Addo's 2016 election campaign with a gargantuan sum of money, hence his strong ties with government. Number one's amorous affair with the Akufo-Addo government is the only explanation as to how state security aided him to abscond from our jurisdiction and continues to treat him and his accomplices with kid gloves.
This is the twisted logic of the man who spoke saying that government didn't act. When government acted, and this is the man who led the useless vacuous onslaught today. It's not only painful, but degrading to the political image of the NDC.
Now, we know also that Nana Appiah-Mensah had been arrested on December 7, 2018 for a gold trading deal gone bad in the Emirati jurisdiction. The Ghana Police Service only got to know on January 13, 2019, a high-powered delegation was dispatched to Dubai for an extradition process amidst warnings that the process may fail.
Then it will be very difficult for you, almost impossible, because their law says that one of the reasons why they may not allow someone to be extradited to another country is when he's facing criminal trial within UAE.
Okay.
So, and that I don't think will be negotiable.
Facts, Ghana does not have an extradition treaty with the UAE. The delegation returned without Nana Appiah-Mensah. We're learning that the most wanted Nana Appiah-Mensah faces misdemeanor charges in the UAE and will be made available to Ghana upon the final determination of his current matter in the UAE. Will this happen anytime soon? The minority is calling for a bipartisan probe into the Men's Gold crisis.
I've called for a bipartisan parliamentary inquiry, a serious one, not the farcical ones we've had in the recent past where you end up with a majority report and a minority report.
Now, there is a fresh shoot by 53 soldiers on Men's Gold over their 2.5 million locked up investment. Plus, PURC is fighting off claims that new managers taking over the ECG will hike tariffs. Minority spokesperson on energy, Adams Mutawakilo, earlier claimed the energy sector is in crisis, blaming it on government's decision to reduce electricity tariffs last year. In all of these, power transmitter Gridco is demanding 95% increment, warning it will struggle to operate without the increment. The PURC says the review will be announced by February 1. Will it be upwards or downwards? We would have to stay calm and watch. And Savelugu chief Yona Abubakar Mahama is now the new Yana after successful funeral rites for the late Yana Muhammad Abdullahi and Yana Yakubu and Dani.
Since they all applied, we were going through our oracles. And then by God's grace, we have selected the Savelugu as our new Yana.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. My guest in the studio, Ken Cruncher, is the managing editor of the Daily Searchlight. Kojo Youngson is also an editor with Joy News. Refreshing to have you here, Ken.
Yes,
and good
Aisha.
to see you, Kojo.
Good to see you too.
Always a pleasure.
Let's begin with this. I'm not even supposed to be smiling over this because it's a very sad issue that happened this week. The killing that we've experienced this week. And criminologist Ken Atifo, I heard him describe that of Ahmed Swale as what he puts it, a purposeful, mechanical, and planned killing, either by someone of vengeance or someone preventing him to assist investigations that would lead to unveiling something that that person may have done or a crime that he might have committed. I'm wondering why we're here, because we have a list of, even now that we have a list of security ministers. It's led by Minister of National Security. We also have a minister in States at the presidency in charge of security. Interior Minister is there, Defense Minister, Coordinator of National Security. All of these people are there. The list is quite long. And I'm wondering why we're still finding ourselves here. The reason why the NDC, for instance, is describing the whole incident that there's a general insecurity in the country. I'd like to find out from you, Ken, first, whether you also feel that sense of heightened insecurity in the country.
Well, thank you very much. A good evening to you. First and foremost, let me say good evening also to the viewers and listeners of this program. And to make a slight correction, I'm not the managing editor of the Daily Searchlight.
The publisher.
The publisher. Right. I publish it now. Other people are now handling the paper.
Okay.
But I think because of my long newspaper background, it's up to
Exactly.
Well, with regard to insecurity, I really, really do not feel an air of insecurity in the country. I do not.
Okay.
I do not, for the fact that personally, I do not have a watchman at my house. My cars are parked normally in my yard. I've never really witnessed an incident of robbery on myself and within my area. But there has been reports of single incidents of crime. With regard to the latest two examples that you referred to, the lady at Gapoha and then our brother Swale. I think that the lady at Gapoha, the incident might have been a robbery gone wrong. If you look at the general trend, I don't think it was really a planned attack on the lady. Okay. I think it's one of these people who roam the night stealing mobile phones, and some of them are sometimes, and then when you come upon them, something bad may happen. With Swale, it is quite clear that it was a targeted killing. I agree with the assessment of Professor Ken Atifo that what we saw there was somebody who was being kept under watch for quite some time. It is quite clear that some people had watched his movements over time, had noticed some of his irregular habits and some of his irregular hounds. It's also quite clear that we need to really expand the base of the investigation. I, for instance, on other platforms, have advocated that we should find out who made that call that the gentleman referred to as an invitation for him to come home.
As for the questions, there are many questions to be answered.
We should also be finding out from his employees, from his employers, what investigation he was engaged in at the time is very important. We should also find out people he had interacted with before and people that he hopefully, or what type of information was available to him with regard to his employer, his place of employment. There are a whole lot of things that I believe it's necessary that we do. Right. I think that what we should also try to avoid is the speculation that is going around. Where the police think that they have information or what is available in the general public, like my brother Kennedy Japan, if they like, they can go and interview Kennedy Japan as to whether he had something to do. If they have credible information that can implicate Mr. Japan, they should do so. So I would not say that I have a general sense of insecurity. But of course, what has happened is really terrible. It's not something that we should encourage. And my fear is that we may not find the perpetrators. That is where I hold a great deal of fear.
And you speak for 1 million of people who also believe
yes,
same.
Because you see, this is not the first time we have seen this type of killing going on. You remember Enim?
Yes.
In Kumasi?
Yes.
Yes, the chairman of the GGA branch. He was killed in February 2007 or so. And at that time, there was this whole series of Roko Frimpong and other people were also killed similarly.
Yeah.
And you would notice that it has been the trend that we do not find the killers of these people.
At the end of the
yes,
day.
I think that it is quite clear. And you see, this thing has been going on a large scale with a particular set of people, but it seems a lot of people do not really realize it. The people who deal with land matters in this country, the chiefs and land guards, there's a continual slaughter on that front. But I think because our brother was more into the media circle, it's really caught on with the media. So it's something that we really need to empower our Ghana Police Service when it comes to tracing this type of killers down and bringing them to prosecution. I think that by and large, the police seem to be hampered when it comes to fighting this particular type of crime, because really it's hard for them to do this leg work type of investigation. It's a complicated case.
Yes.
If he was dealing with, because somebody must have the motive to kill this person.
Exactly.
The person must also have the means to find out where this type of people work, where you can find this type of killers, because they must be somewhere and there must be information. So it's a very complicated thing that we also really ought to begin to empower our police service when it comes to forensics. You said the gentleman had been buried.
Yes, he's been buried.
I hope there was an autopsy
before he was
buried, and that we have the bullet fragments. Or that can also lead. By now, we should have access to his phones.
Yeah.
The people he spoke to on that day in the previous week. By now, we should have access to his cameras, the the computers that he was working with at Tiger Eye,
yes,
his laptops, everything there, so that the forensic people in the police can then examine and find out whether they can get any leads. And then, of course, we should also be speaking to his employees. And then people have also made public employers. People have also made public pronouncements like Mr. Kennedy Japan should all be interviewed to find out exactly whether we can get any leads to.
I think we'll get to that and even find out who was that person who placed that distress call and said his son was taken or his child was taken ill. Was his child even ill at that time, that ulterior moment? Kojo, the president himself is the chairman of the National Security Council, and I'm still struggling to get answers why we're here, because this is when we've had more security people in charge of security than we've had in all these years. Do you think or do you feel that there is some insecurity?
I have to agree with Ken that I don't think these two incidents amount to a sense of insecurity.
Okay.
I think it is an opportunity that politicians are taking to use these two incidents as a point to make the argument that perhaps those who are in charge of our security are not doing a good job.
But we've seen others, for instance, and Ken rightly pointed out that we may not find the perpetrators. We've seen J.B. Dankwa.
Yes.
I mean, it's still fresh in our minds. We've seen the Stanbic Bank staff who was stabbed. We've seen many. I mean, last week we saw the Assemblies of God pastor being stabbed. I mean, so yes, they may have reasons.
Not to interfere. You see, you need to take each specific case and then examine it closely before you can draw.
That's actually what I was going to say.
Okay.
That crimes occur every day. Now, unless you are suggesting that all of these crimes are being committed by the same people, and that we are not able to stop them, and so these same people will continue committing these crimes.
It's only the police who can tell us.
Then you can't really conclude that we have a state of insecurity. You know, when Ken described the killing of Ahmed Swale, he talked about how it was direct and targeted. Okay, so these individuals purposed that day to kill Ahmed Swale.
Okay.
They went out and achieved their goal and have now absconded.
Yeah.
Now, until they are arrested, you can't assume that tomorrow they will then pick another person and go out there and kill. I mean, it is not clear from the evidence that these are serial killers who are perhaps on a spree seeking to kill a number of people, and Ahmed Swale is just the first. Okay. So to jump from these incidents to a case of insecurity, it's a bit of a leap. Okay. Now, in the case of the killing of the Gapoha lady, certain details, we have to put certain details together to get ourselves a clearer picture. Yeah. So we know that she came back from a party that night, quite late. Right. We know her husband is out of the country at the moment. Whether he lives abroad permanently or not, I don't know. Yeah. But at the time she was killed, her husband was out of the country. She lives at home with a houseboy and her son. We know that in the morning, the son found her door locked, and they found the key somewhere in the courtyard or the compound later. Right. When they got into the room, she was killed, shot in the head, and then there were signs of other violence that was meted out to her. Now, the police, in a later update, also said that they had picked up the houseboy for questioning because they found, they picked up the houseboy. They also found some property of the ladies, her watch and some money buried somewhere on the compound. And then they said they had taken swabs of semen from her, indicating there was a possible rape. So let's put this all together. Well, it may not have been rape. Okay. It may have been consensual sex. Okay. She had come back from a party. Okay. We don't know whether she came home with someone who then ended up killing her. We don't know this. Okay. These are all possibilities that the police will explore. Right. We don't know whether this houseboy stole those things some months ago or weeks ago and hid them there because he's a thief, but not necessarily a murderer. Okay. We don't know these things. Yes. So there is so much unknown, and it is so insufficient information on which we can leap to the conclusion that there is a state of insecurity. People are running rampage and committing crimes. Okay. But these two crimes are very important, very significant, and they are opportunities, in my mind, for the police to demonstrate the ability that we know they have. Yeah. But the public uproar that has greeted the counter-accusations in the aftermath of the killing of that investigative journalist, you would want to know. Let's listen to this.
As I said, I'm a lawyer. I deal with evidence. I'm not saying that the certain number of parliament ask people to go kill him. That is not what I'm saying. Be it far from me that I will ever suggest that. But I'm saying that reckless conduct of sitting on your media, putting out a young man's picture there, inviting the world to go beat him up, and that you'll be responsible and pay for it, he should be asked questions. The finger that can be pointed at him is he should be called to explain why he did what he did. And if a few months later the young man has been killed in such some circumstances, he has questions to answer. It is not an accusation, but he is the one who invited the world to beat him up. He has been killed now.
So when you say someone should ask him questions, you'd like...
The authorities, of course. Okay. The authorities to ask him questions. A man claims no one is above the law. He cannot also be above the law. No one is above the law. He should be asked questions.
Since you want someone to ask him questions, would you be lodging an official complaint with the authorities?
We'll advise ourselves on that.
Okay, so that decision has not been made yet?
It's not everything that I put out in public, but we'll advise ourselves on that.
So let's hear the response of the MP to this.
It's unfortunate Ghanaians are behaving the way they are behaving. When you do that, you distract the police or the security agencies from even doing the investigation. How can you tell me that a statement that I made about 8 months ago, that if the guy, they told me that, oh, you've even paid the school fees in 2012. Well, I don't know him. So he has been coming here, and I said, no way. Don't allow the guy to come here because he's bad. If he comes to these premises, you beat him. I still maintain that. That you allow him. I have a video that is so nasty that I can't show it. I mean, women, their private part, he set a doctor up and did all these things. So if you allow the guy to come to my premises and set me up, so I said, no way, don't allow the guy to go. When he steps here, beat the hell out of him.
But in that particular video, we also hear you say, Mushiano will be to wit. If you meet him anywhere,
Madam, you see, I want to cool down. Okay. Have you listened to the tape?
Yeah, you said Mushiano will be Obama premises.
Good. Good. This is Obama premises. I mean,
so then baby refers to anywhere within your premises.
Yeah, Ushiano premises, baby. Yeah, beat the hell out of him.
Okay, so what about those who say putting his face and his name and where he lives could be vital information for those who may want to hurt him? You know, and so, in other words, you are complicit.
You see, the way you are talking as if, say, he's better than judges who have stroke now. He's better than those who have died. I wanted Ghanaians to know who is behind Anas and doing those criminal activities. And it was necessary to bring his name, to show his face, for people to see. Because when the guy is walking, you wouldn't even know that this is the guy coming to set you up. You might run your mouth, he will record you, go and disgrace you. It was necessary for me to bring the guy's picture out for people to see who he is. Okay? But you see, the problem I have is that now, if Anas is saying, or his lawyer is saying I should be picked, they should pick Anas and his lawyer first.
Why?
Why? Because why is it that Anas jumps into conclusion within 3 minutes I hear of the guy's death, he makes a video and put it out there and put my voice and picture that I am involved? He's diverting attention.
So you had a lawyer for the Tiger Eye, Kisei Jabeng, making that allegation. You had the response from the MP, Kennedy Japan, responding appropriately to all the issues he raised. But when I heard the lawyer making this point, my first question was, what did you do as a lawyer when he first showed the picture of the investigative journalist on his television, when he showed where the guy lives, when he mentioned his name and said he lives in Medina and all of that? As a lawyer, what did you do? We are now coming to understand or hearing that they reported to the police. What did the police do after the complaint? Did they activate any surveillance mechanism? Did they offer any protection for this gentleman? If they did, then why are we still seeing this? The police should be able immediately to monitor and track those who perpetrated this act. Because if they're monitoring his activities, it should be easy for them to find. If that wasn't done, then there is a conclusion that it is so easy and comfortable to commit a crime in this country. Can you agree?
You see, my difficulty, and I'm really sad for Swally, sad for the young man, is that you will get into exactly the questions you are raising. Because you see, those questions will not assist in the resolution of this murder case before us. They will not. Getting sidetracked into what Kisei Jabin could have done, what the police could have done, what the young man himself could have done or his employers could have done, really, will it bring enough evidence to the police? Will it assist the police today in tracking down the killers? And for me, the very quick release of the tape from Tiger Eye and the press conference by the Ghana Journalists Association and all those things that have happened have the potential to force the police to lose focus from the essential fact that they have before them a murder investigation, where all manner of things all manner of leads need to be followed. Okay. The young man, did he have any family issues? The young man, did he have any issues with his employer? The young man, did he have any issues with Kennedy Japan? The young man, what was he involved in?
Even friends, did he have issues with friends?
In friends. So if you jump to the immediate conclusion that he has been killed in the line of duty,
okay,
what you are essentially doing is precluding other possible leads where the killer could be hiding. Because out of all the points of contact in this young person's life, a very cold finger touched him and that finger killed him. Who owns that finger?
Okay.
It could be because of professional association, social association, or whatever association. So you see, let's allow the police a clear lead, where trained lawyers immediately are hugging cameras and microphones, and my brother Kennedy Japan. You see, he should talk, because he's a friend.
But do you, at some point in time, feel in any way that it's so easy to commit a crime in Ghana?
Oh, of course, of course. The simple fact of the matter is that I live at Achimota, and I can paint a picture to you. You know the Achimota overhead, the one that goes to Fanko and the N1, that place. You can travel on that road to Awishi, okay, and there's a road that goes straight from there to Pokwase. And from that place, you come back to Tesano Police Station, the overhead bridge again. Yeah. In that community, that huge community, when it is night, go and check how many policemen are there. Very few policemen. So it is very easy for anyone to go and commit a crime. It is acknowledged that we need to improve police numbers in this country. If you look at the UN, accepted UN police to population ratio, I think it's about 1 policeman to, I think, 100 or so. And go and check our population of about 30 million and the number of policemen officers there. So
just recently, the IGP promised that they've increased visibility everywhere, but how come we're not seeing it?
We need over 200,000 policemen as a country. Right now, we have less than 40,000 or so. So the police need to be massively improved in terms of manpower. In terms of training, recently, there was this video doing the circulation on WhatsApp where they went to arrest this Juju guy. And the officer was saying, hey, if you are not careful, I will slap you. And I said, my God, this is a trained police officer in our country. And that is the way they behave. You see pictures of them, videos of them beating up taxi drivers.
Some of them are drunk, holding guns. You know, but.
So police training, once they are at depot and they shoot a gun, that is the only opportunity a police officer has to fire a gun until he kills a civilian. We don't have gyms at police stations. We don't have shooting ranges at police station. They have poor morale. They don't have good housing. You see, and this travels across systems. So you realize that we need to focus on putting up a professional police service that knows how to conduct professional work. You see, that's why I'm saying that I will for Swale, because it is so obvious that unless a piece of good luck falls our way, the killers are not going to be found. It is why, for instance, I'm advocating that let's set up $1 million as a reward. Somewhere in this city of Accra, the motorbike is still in Accra, and somebody knows that this was the motorbike that was used to commit a crime. Somewhere in this city, somebody knows that this person shot. So let's offer that reward.
We know that the Ports and Harbour have offered some...
Yeah, I'm calling on government. Yes.
They've offered some reward for anybody who gives a tip.
Let us set up a huge amount of money that if you can give us good information leading to the arrest of the killers of Swale, come and take this money. And I'm sure somebody will come forward for that type of... Because look, people must not be allowed to get away with this type of activity in our country. But getting to your question, I'm telling people to just tone down. Let us allow the police with the little capacity they have to see whether they cannot assist us. And we should stop the accusation and counter and trying to paint a certain picture and force it on Ghanaians that this person was killed because of this, when it's quite possible it may not be the case.
It may not be the case. It certainly may not be the case. But of course, he's an interested party, or he has an interest in that. But in any case, how many of the murder cases that we've seen lately or over a period of time have been resolved? And I already mentioned the case of J.B. Dankwa. It's a typical case that has not been resolved. We've gone back and forth on that. I've mentioned the Stanbic Bank lady. There are so many of the killings that have happened that we have not seen an end to it. And the reason why people feel that when there are unresolved murder cases, it only gives people the impetus to commit more crimes. And I've heard Dr. Enin hammer on this point over and over again. Kojo.
Yeah, in fact, you made a point earlier. You said that is it not now very easy for people to commit crimes in Ghana? It occurred to me when you asked that, well, it's actually easy for people to commit crimes anywhere in the world, but it's easy to get away with
Ghana,
committing
with
a crime
crimes.
in Ghana because of all the reasons that you've both talked about. You know, the fact that the police have so many cases that they are yet to
Deal with.
resolve. But the issue of Ken, Kennedy, Japan, and the death of young Ahmed Swale, I think we are confusing two issues here.
Okay.
So Anas put out this video very soon after the death of Mr. Swale, and the video showed Kennedy, Japan, calling on people to beat this boy up.
Okay, so he put that out before. Okay, you mean Anas is the one who put that out after? Okay, that's right.
Yes, Anas put the video out very soon
Immediately.
after the death. That's right.
We heard of
But
the
this is something that Kennedy Japan said
did in
months
September.
ago. That's right. Now, the point I'm driving at is this. Anas may have been seeking to illustrate that violence against journalists is wrong.
Yes.
And to illustrate that, he shows a video of Kennedy in Japan calling for violence against, guess what, this same journalist.
Yes.
Somehow, we have leapt from that to this argument that then Kennedy in Japan must have something to do with the killing. And then we hear people saying that, oh, if we are not careful, then the police might actually narrow the scope of their investigation, and then other possible leads will not be followed, and the real killer might end up escaping because the police will be so focused on.
I think the police is more intelligent than that.
Yes, that's what I want to say. That the police are not idiots. Yeah. Unless the suggestion is that Kennedy Japan was one or both of the people on that motorbike, there are still killers out there. So no matter how much focus or how little focus the police put on Kennedy Japan, there is still a case to investigate. And to think that the police will become so narrow and they will be focused on Kennedy Japan and forget that there was a motorbike
somewhere
and that there were two
and
people on it.
The people were lurking around the whole day.
I don't really understand that
looking
argument.
for this gentleman.
But here's the other thing. Look, unless it is proved at some point in the future that the video we saw of Kennedy Japan making those declarations, unless sometime later it is proved that that video was doctored and that he didn't actually say those things, then that video is evidence of Kennedy Japan committing a crime. Just that crime is not murder.
Okay. And that crime is not murder.
The crime he is committing in that video is inciting public hatred or whatever they call it.
And if you look at the combined effect of Section 74 and 75 of Act 29, 1960, that's the Criminal Act, and especially Act Section 75, which reads, whoever threatens any person with death with intent to put that person in fear of death is guilty of a second-degree felony. But of course, we should also not lose sight of the fact that a person cannot be deemed to have committed a crime until he is proven guilty by a competent court.
But what I'm saying is that video is evidence for whomever wants to investigate. That video is evidence. Okay. Did Kennedy Japan commit a crime or not? That video is evidence.
Yeah.
Okay. But it is not the crime of murder. So this suggestion that Kennedy Japan must have something to do with the killing because he called for people to beat the boy up, I don't even understand that connection.
Yeah.
And then the subsequent call on the police to not lose sight of. Honestly, unless we think the police are idiots, that is not something we should worry about.
Don't also forget or remember that in the case of Kennedy Japan, putting out such detailed information in a country like ours, where people have accused even corrupt anti-corruption institutions of finding it difficult to deal with this particular canker we all know has eaten so deep into us that they themselves are struggling. Putting detailed information about this gentleman who is only helping in his own small way to help, deal with this corrupt acts in society. People think that it's in itself aiding people to commit a crime who know or taking people to take advantage of this because they know there is already something to divert attention after committing the crime. The reason people say Kennedy Japan shouldn't have even made that comment or conducted himself in that way at all, looking at the caliber of person he is.
I'm so glad you brought this up because You see, there's this ongoing debate about Anas and his team and their methods, and whether what he's doing is entrapment or not. And some people make this very interesting comment that if you are a red-blooded male and somebody brings a woman to entice you, and you are bound to sleep with the woman. Yeah. So what has he proved? Well, he's proved that you have slept with the woman. Yeah. But anyway, the argument about whether Anas's methods, are the right way of fighting corruption or not. I have this analogy that I used to explain the existence of Anas. Okay. So I have diabetes, right? Now, as a diabetic, what it means is that when I eat, my body can't process the sugar in the food I eat. Yeah. So I must inject something called insulin, which will then process that sugar for me. Now, if I am unable to get my insulin, my body itself, because my body is clever, it tries to save my life in the absence of insulin by making me thirsty so that I'll be forced to drink water, which will then flush my system, and I'll pass a lot of water, which will wash out some of the sugar from my system, so that I can survive until I get insulin. If you consider corruption to be like a disease, like diabetes, the cure or the treatment, the insulin for corruption would be stronger institutions, the removal of opportunity for individuals to be corrupt, and stiffer punishment. All of those things would be the insulin for corruption. Okay. But in the absence of that insulin, Anas is the thirst that is forcing us to drink water and pass urine. You may disagree with his methods. Yeah. You may consider that his methods cannot be the permanent solution, and I would agree. Yeah. But in the absence of Anas, those referees would still be refereeing matches in Ghana. Yes. Those judges will still be collecting goods and selling justice for the price of a bag of rice. That would still be happening if not for Anas. So anybody who opposes the existence of Anas so vehemently, you have to ask yourself, what exactly does the person lose from the existence of Anas?
What exactly is your interest?
What do you lose from what Anas does? Yeah. Me, because I know that I'm not stealing anybody's money, I don't care who comes to film me in secret. You will not capture me committing a crime. Yeah. So it is only those who fear capture who would oppose Anas's methods. Yes, his methods cannot be permanent. That can't be the permanent solution. We can't fight corruption with Anas for the rest of our lives. But that is the first aid that is saving us until somebody comes up as a leader who will actually strengthen our institutions so that there won't be a need for Anas.
I think I agree with people who think that, yes, we should not limit our investigations to just the Asin Central MP. We should widen the scope. And I've said that I don't think the police is so unintelligent to know this factor. I mean, we are not the ones to tell them. They know their job, and they know that this could just be a ploy to, distract attention, or to just take our attention off the main perpetrators. And I've also heard people say that the police, looking at the kind of intelligence they do, if they want to get the perpetrators in 2 days, they can, unless they don't want to do their job. Now, I guess the onus now lies on the police. If we have to get anywhere with these issues, the onus lies on the police to help us do that. Let's listen to the police on how they intend to deal with this matter.
Yes, before the statement came a short ago, very important steps have been taken. Detectives from the CID headquarters have visited the scene. They have spoken to a lot of people and gathering further information that will help us get these perpetrators to face the full rigors of the law. I think there have been an issue about the tape that is attributed to Honorable Kennedy Ajapon. We have spoken to him, and then we have also requested the original tape from Net 2, where the recording was done, to assist us in investigation. That is what we are doing now, and we are working pretty fast. We are in touch with the family to make sure that we get these criminals to face the full rigors of the law. As I said, he has been interviewed, and we've requested for the original recording to help us in our investigation.
So, and then this must be very swift because he was on our premises a short while ago, Kennedy Japan. He appeared in person, or this is a phone conversation?
It was a one-to-one interview. Our officers went to meet him. I think after he was in your premises, we are aware, and after that he was contacted and interviewed person to person.
Okay.
The body is at the police hospital. Post-mortem will be conducted, and all those details will add up to what we are going to see, what would help us build the docket. For now, we are listening to eyewitnesses, and I hope we have put out some information, and they will help us in at least. What we know is that those who committed this crime have been around our environment for a while. And as we have already indicated, we've been putting out every week crime prevention tips. I believe that if somebody had alerted the police, perhaps would have saved our colleague. So we are emphasizing that people should pay attention to the weekly crime prevention tips that we put out, so that some of these issues that raise suspicion within the community can quickly be brought to the attention of the police so that we can act on it.
And another...
So that's Director of Communications at the Ghana Police, David Eklude, explaining how the police intend to work on this and how he's inviting the public to help in investigations. And I've said that the bigger job or the onus lies on the police to do a good job with this so that we can bring the matter to closure. Not forgetting that if we do not get the perpetrators, then we should actually expect more, because the same people who perpetrated this act are still lurking around, and they can still commit more crimes. They can influence others to also join them. As I said here, a lot of questions are going on in my mind, and I'm demanding answers to those questions. And those are the questions that I believe if the police are asking, that may bring us closer to, getting those people who committed the crime. And I ask, throughout the week, and we're told that the lawyer said they had reported the matter to the police. And I asked an earlier question whether the police were actually monitoring this gentleman. If they were monitoring this gentleman, who was the last person he spoke with? And we're also told that he had a call that his child had taken ill. Who was that family member who placed that call? In any event, was his child taken ill at all at the end of the day? Who was the people, or who were the people who he had spoken with in the last few days or in the last few weeks? They can monitor all of that. I'm sure if they go to the telecommunication networks, they can do that. Even messages, WhatsApp, they can monitor all of this. Now, we're also told that the gentlemen who committed this dastardly act were there the whole day in that area. We're told that they had lurked around that area for what? The whole day? Did anybody suspect them to be criminals? Did anybody raise any alarm? Did anybody complain to the police? Are they not security conscious? All of these questions, if I get answers to it, then I'll be assured that the police will do a good job, Ken. What is your anticipation of the police in handling this matter in terms of professionalism and the scope of investigations?
Well, I really believe that our police are not equipped for this particular type of crime solving. I believe that. Unless, as I said before, we happen on a stroke of luck, okay, like somebody coming forward with information, I really doubt that through the normal process of investigations, our police is going to be able to get to the bottom of this matter. You mentioned a very interesting fact that for a whole day, these two gentlemen had been in the area, and they had been lurking around. That was your word. I believe that if that had been the case, somebody would have seen one of them very clearly. You understand? And therefore, in other jurisdictions, by now would have developed what we call an identikit of these people.
Yeah.
And they would have been all over the media. You see, I don't know whether, as we speak today, a police hotline for this particular crime has been developed. If you and to morning radio, have you heard of any hotline put out by the Ghana Police Service with regard to this particular crime? You see, all these little limitations should point to you. As I said, I do not know. This is maybe with regard to the police investigation. But what has happened to the man's personal equipment? Where is the car that he was driving at that time? What has happened to the bullets? Okay, have you gone to Tiger Eye to take a look at the equipment that he was using, the computers that he was using? Have you spoken to my brother and asked as to what the young man was doing at that particular time? What case was he investigating? Now, have you been able to collect back tapes of previous investigations that he has done? Because you see, have you spoken to the wives? Has there been any marital disputes? Has there been any family issues with other family members, friends? You see, because we should diligently be seeking for information that will lead us to the killer. And that information is within the circle of this person's life. So as I said before, somewhere in that life, all the complexities that make up the person. Because today I've spoken to colleagues at the office, I've spoken to family members, spoken to church members, all manner of people. I've spoken to you. Yeah. Out of all that complex engagements, one particular person was very offended. He came back and killed him. So over the past maybe 3 months, over the past 2 months, over the past 2 weeks, we should go back over his life and find out. And I'm sure if you do the very diligent work, you might not do it in 1 week, you might not do it in 1 month, you might not do it in 3 months, but in a year, you may come to some conclusion as to who killed this person. And you see, some of these people, because across our borders in Nigeria, this thing is a very common happenstance. They kill themselves this way all the time. It's very easy for people to go to Nigeria and get this type of people to come into your jurisdiction, to come and commit this type of crime. When these things happen, if you don't have the perpetrator between maybe from ground zero to about 78 hours, that is about in 3 days, it means that you must prepare yourself for the long haul, very long investigation. So I'm hoping that maybe even from tips from this program, you begin to hear what active steps are being taken. Who is the officer in charge of this particular? Yeah. Who is the officer in charge? Do you know of the officer in charge?
Not at
of this investigation. It should have been there, so that you see a lot of things. Our police service lack a lot of things. I think that the time may be apt for us to maybe get people from the FBI or from Scotland.
They may not want to put him out in the public,
maybe get people
probably
from
for security reasons.
Yes, get people from the FBI, get people from Scotland Yard to come and teach our people modern police detective work.
I know the police needs capacity building.
Because you see, the reason why I'm saying the things
are we saying that these things, that all these very valid points you're making, our police are not capable of?
Oh no, if they were capable,
if thinking of these things for themselves,
if they were capable, by now, because
let Ken land and
if they were capable, you see, because I can sense your distress, I can sense your passion, your commitment to help. Joy Multimedia, your commitment to help. Yeah. So if our police were capable, by now they would have given you the hotlines, and you would have been publishing them hourly. Yes. They would have produced identity, because out of all the witnesses that saw these people lurking around, there were 1 or 2 people who saw their faces clearly and could have assisted police artists to draw composites of their picture. And you would have taken it and it would have been on air, like people watching me. Now, if it has not been produced, that means there's a lack. Let's call police PRO and ask them why they've not produced police identity of the killers, because they say they were around all day up to it's over 78 hours since these gentlemen. Why you don't have the identities? So these are little things. Where is the gentleman's car now? Where are his cameras? His mobile phones? What has happened to his equipment? Have they spoken to Anas about
all of this
areas that this young man was involved in? You see, there's something that it seems the majority of us are not adverting our minds to. And for me, I'm very scared. You know, this young man is the body double of Anas. Do you know that?
Yes.
He and another young man. They are 3. They are body doubles. Who were the killers looking for?
Could be a wrong target.
Yes. You see, who were the killers looking for? If I were any of those three, I would be very, very, very worried. It is our duty at this moment in time to even write to the police and say, this is some of the things that we believe could have caused the death. That's why I'm worried about the quickness to just allude it to. Because you see, Tiger IPI, from the little I know, does journalistic work, but also does private PI work for people.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
Yes, that's right.
Yes. So you see, out of all that multitude of contacts, including the journalistic one, the cold finger came and touched one of them. I'm praying that it doesn't touch a second person in that team. If it's not Tiger IPI, and then somebody within the guy's social other engagements, because this thing was planned.
Yeah, it was really planned.
They
and
woke up that day with the intention to kill this person. That is what they woke up that day to do.
Yeah.
We must. And sadly for me, I lack the confidence in our police service to say, with Ghana Police Service, they'll get these killers. It has happened with, is it what the name of the guy in Kumasi? In Kumasi. They killed him. It's over 10 years now.
And we've not heard anything.
We've not heard anything. And as I said, as for chiefs and land guards, they kill them like this every day in this country, and nothing happens.
Aisha, our police are seriously limited. Let's be real. I mean, they are limited in many ways. But I think there is a certain basic minimum deduction that they are capable of. You know, some of the questions that Ken is raising, I think we can trust our police to find answers to some of those questions.
Yes.
Where's the car? I think the police can tell us where the car is.
Where it is, yeah.
You see, when I ask where is the car, okay, you go.
Yeah, you know, the processing the vehicle as a crime scene, that is a responsibility that the police have. Whether they have the proper equipment to do a good job, that's another question.
Yeah.
Ken asks about identikits. Identikits uses software. Police artists, sketch artists, that used to be what the police officers did in the 80s. Now they use software. So if you say, oh, he had bushy eyebrows, they will bring up 20 different shapes of bushy eyebrows, and you pick the one that looks closest, and then they'll put it on the face. Oh, what shape was his face? Oval. The computer will create an oval face. Does the police have that software?
These trained technicians.
So if they don't have the software, then that is not an option to them.
Yeah.
If they have it and they are not using it, that's when we can say, you know, the police don't know what they are doing.
Yeah.
But do they have it? Do they have this software? As for sketch artists, I doubt that anybody uses sketch artists anymore, especially not in modern policing. I don't know. I'm happy to be educated on that. If perhaps Ghana Police still has sketch artists, but either way, forming a composite identity or identification of the two individuals is a task that requires some equipment. Whether the police has that equipment or not, that is something that's yet to be seen.
But you know, I agree with you if you talk of capacity building for the police. We know that they also need that. And we also talk about logistics. But I get angry when this is always the excuse we get from the police that they don't have logistics. But we know the swiftness which they apply when one of their own is hit. I mean, the issue of Kweku Ninja is so fresh in our minds. You know how swiftly the police went in to get the perpetrators? Why can't they apply the same swiftness when it has to do with other people?
Right, that's a very good question. And that's a question that I want to hear the police answering. Because you are right. It appears that when something is a priority for the police, they pull out all stops and they yield results in days, sometimes in hours. In this case, what you would have expected if it was one of their own that had been killed, that at least suspects would have been rounded up by now.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, no suspect has been arrested. For a situation where these suspected killers hovered around the community for an entire day.
Yeah.
For no suspect to have been picked up by now, it's worrisome. Unless they were walking around with crash helmets on. Is that the case? Is
the
that
police would have to tell us that.
Is that what the people in the area are telling us? Were these two individuals walking around all day with crash helmets? Or did they see their faces? Did they see their motorbike? Did they see some mannerisms, hear some expressions they use? Is there information out there on which the police can at least
Kojo, I
narrow
don't need
down
to hear whatever you say. Your mannerism alone should tell me who you are. If you stay on the multimedia premises and you're not a staff, you don't work here, and you stay here for such a long time, I will be suspicious.
No, Aisha, what I'm referring to is whether or not perhaps somebody observing them also perhaps heard them speaking, heard what language they spoke, what accent they use. This is all information that the police will use in narrowing down their suspect pool. But for me, the biggest failing of Ghana police is their failure in interfacing with the public.
So what would be your expectation of handling this matter?
To be perfectly honest, if they want to do a good job, they need to interface better with the public. And that's actually what I was about to say. That Ken was talking about how perhaps by now they ought to have been putting out some hotline numbers, giving us daily updates, or at least of who they have eliminated from their suspect pool. They may not want to tell us details of who they are pursuing, but you can tell us who you've eliminated. You know, that, oh, we don't think it is a member of his family. Or we don't think it's a member of his work. You know, you understand? So by now, they would have eliminated some people.
Definitely.
And that information is valuable.
Very important.
Okay, it narrows the thinking of the public so that if something occurs to somebody, you know, someone has a thought, oh, could this be? And they have heard from the police that, oh, we've eliminated this group. Then you know that that thought doesn't apply. But maybe this thought does. You know, they must help us to help them.
Yeah.
And for me, that is my expectation. They need to start communicating better. I understand some things they can't tell us.
And going
but they
forward,
must be able to tell us something.
Going forward, Ken, I think that personal security it should be our priority now, especially with journalists, with the kind of job we do. I mean, we've talked about people beating us and attacking us all over, but this one is scary when people are now targeting people to be killed. Now it means that we should observe every little thing that happens in our environment. How do we even begin? Because we can't just always sit down and blame the police. We, the individuals ourselves, must be seen doing things that will protect our own self before even the police come in. And especially when we have realized that the police actually pick and choose the cases that they want to speed on and they want to deal with swiftly, then our security must be very important to us. Ken, how do we begin to deal with this?
Well, I'm hoping to bring out a book in the course of this year, maybe in the first quarter of this year, about applied journalism, and this is one of the topics that I deal with. For instance, in the newsroom, if you think you are doing a story that you think has the potential to bring harm to you, you should share the information.
Yeah.
You see, you should have one or two people that you work with. Share the information with them. So if the public begin to know that even if you harm this guy, the new media house is going to publish anyway, the effect is again, when you are going into a dangerous situation, you shouldn't go alone. Yes, you should have backup. These days we have two-way radios, walkie-talkies, you have mobile phones, you have text message, you have WhatsApp platforms. So you should get backup. If you have to carry equipment, don't carry one camera, don't carry one recorder, carry 2 or 3 modes of recording people.
Yeah.
Okay. But the most basic is that you don't put yourself in the situation where you have all the pieces of one story together. In the case of my brother Anas's outfit, for example, I would hope that they share information so that if somebody kills Mr. Swally because of the information that he has, that information will still
be available.
It's still available.
Exactly.
And will not die with the young man.
And
but as you are moving around as a person, you should always keep your eye on the road and keep a view on the rear view mirror. It's also very important. If you see one particular type of car too often behind you, make an attempt to find out. If you think, because me, whenever I'm getting close to my gate, I call inside. Because I live with a constant threat of death. I never mention death, it's always with me.
Yeah.
So I call inside. So as I'm getting close, they are also opening up for me.
Exactly.
Because many people are shot on their doorstep.
Yeah.
They are shot on their doorstep. So You call inside and they start preparing the gate. So you just drive in and the gate closes. And there are witnesses with you. You see, so there are a lot of little personal things. But for somebody who really wants to harm you, he will harm you.
Yeah.
And so you can protect yourself maybe 70% of the time.
And I think the bottom line is to be observant.
Yes.
To be very observant with the things that happen around you.
If you are at the place, and unfortunately for people like me, I'm constantly accosted. You are so and so. You are so and so. You just pray. You hope that nobody will.
That plays a part, but the most part is you, the individual, and how you handle yourself. Let me take a few of your comments on WhatsApp. And this one, you didn't add your name. He says, please, when I consider the speech of Ken Japan, even after the death of this young man, it tells me that he has not regretted for even issuing that threat in the first place. How can he still be saying that the young man is not better than the judges who are struggling with stroke? We shouldn't be saving this man from issues. God save our country. This man says Kennedy Japan must not be blamed for threatening the guy and revealing his face to the public. The police needs modern technology to fight crime and murders than the approaches being used now. And it's coming from Bedu from Techiman. Let me see this one. Albert from Boko, he says, hi, your guests in the studio, Ghanaians, especially officials and hardworking people, are in danger if action is not taken against Kennedy for putting the man's picture at the domain and calling for people to harm him. It is unlawful. And that's coming from Albert from Boko. Let me look at this one. You didn't add your name, but he says there were several murder cases in this country but not successfully investigated. For this murder of Ahmed Swale, there must be proper investigation to come up with a solution, because the murder cases are getting out of hands in this country. When I come back from the break, we'll be looking at the issue we've been battling with over the last few weeks, which for me turns sour this week following a clash of the two major political parties. Welcome back now. It started when Sami Jemfi, NDC Communications Director, made some allegations about the NPP government that it was linked to the men's gold crisis. Take a listen.
One, sponsored the NPP and President Akufo-Addo's 2016 election campaign with a gargantuan sum of money, hence his strong ties with government. Number one's amorous affair with the Akufo-Addo government is the only explanation as to how state security aided him to abscond from our jurisdiction and continues to treat him and his accomplices with kid gloves. That the wife of President Akufo-Addo, Ghana's first lady, also took active part in the endorsement and promotion of Number One. In March 2018, her foundation, the Rebecca Foundation, partnered with NAM Mission, another company belonging to the beloved Men's Go CEO, in connection with a medical outreach program in some parts of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, there are so many NGOs and so many humanitarian organizations in Ghana and in the world. Amongst all of them, our First Lady Auntie Becky could not find any reputable, any credible agency to partner with, but rather chose to partner with the man, Nana Appiah Mensah, Ghana's #1 fraudster. If this had happened under the government of President Mahama, what would our brothers and sisters in the NPP say? What would they have said? Were in this country when the DKM matter arose? Even though President Mahama and his wife never knew the owners of DKM, even though they never had meetings with them at the seat of government, even though they never took pictures with the owners, even though the owners never posted pictures with them, ascribing their successes to them on social media, even though their officials never took the owners of Goddess Life, DKM, on tours and so on, our brothers in the NPP, because they have lies in their DNA, lied against them, that DKM belonged to them. In the last 2 years, Nana Appiah Mensah has enjoyed full state harness, as we have seen him with armed police escort at public gatherings on countless occasions. Not even members of parliament and ministers of state enjoy the kind of security detail that was accorded #1 by this government. Just look at it. Look at their helmets. Look at the accoutrements they are wielding. Are they going to war? Of course, we are fully aware, ladies and gentlemen, I need your attention, of some secret payments made to government appointees and their cronies who equally invested in Men's Gold by top management members of the company.
The communications director of the NDC, and if you were listening to this thing with me in the newsroom, you will testify that I was like, oh, don't take them serious, because I don't think MPP will respond to this. But to my surprise, in less than an hour after this press conference, guess what happened?
This is the twisted logic of the man who spoke saying that government didn't act. When government acted, when Men's Gold was won, this man sat in a radio studio, which has international audience, and traduced government. So it's a very good business. They were creating employment. They were creating profits for people. They were doing very well. Government was using the law in a way that was far-fetched. Far-fetched. Government should not have used the law. He didn't talk about state. He didn't talk about president. He didn't talk about regulatory agencies. He was busy heaping praise on Men's Gold and #1. And then he turned around to say that what Men's Gold had done, our government had not been able to do. Is that true? And this is the man who led the useless vacuous onslaught today. Since when have members of the public and stakeholders, local, international, been barred from engaging democratically elected presidents and their governments? Needless to say, #1 is a matter of public record. He has visited several eminent persons in this country. Anybody who cares to know knows that he has visited several serious people in this country as a responsible political party, supporting a very focused government. We will not stoop so low as to suggest that public officers, religious leaders, traditional leaders, and others who by virtue of their office are public property deserve to be abused for dirty political ends. The Rebecca Foundation collaborated with GCB Bank, Future of Africa Foundation, the BRAIN Project, and the Global Health Consortium to undertake free medical screening and surgeries tagged Restoring Hope. From the 5th of March 2018 until the 5th of April 2018, the group was made up of Ghanaian, German, and American doctors. So the attempt to drag the name of the First Lady, very hard-working First Lady, involved in charitable work across areas of public concern, particularly in health, is not only painful, but degrading to the political image of the NDC.
So that was Yao Boabian Samoa, also MPP Communications Director. I was not surprised to see the whole issue turn out the way it did. I was actually certain it would take a political twist, but I didn't anticipate it will go the way it went. My disappointment actually in these two major political parties has heightened after listening to both of them, because my question is, what has this situation done to improve the Men's Gold crisis? At least, has it gotten monies into the investors' customers' pockets? No. I mean, these are the two major political parties that has huge followers and is so influential. People look up to them all the time. And to think that we want to play politics with issues of this nature, the sensitive nature of this issue, should we politicize it, Ken? How has this situation helped us in moving the Men's Gold crisis forward?
since you started playing the tip, I have been debating with myself where to start my submission on 2 points that I want to address with this matter. The first is whether to address the politicians or whether to address a major social ill in our country. Let me start with the politicians. You see, whenever something goes wrong in a major way, as Men's Gold has gone, as R5, do you remember R5? Remember Piram?
Yes.
Yes. The God is Love, and the Jasta Motors, and DKM, and now Men's Gold.
Yeah.
And if you look at the modus operandi, it all goes back to what we call the Ponzi scheme. Now, it demonstrates that in our society, there may be a societal problem that needs to be addressed by way of policy, particularly with deposit-taking institutions of whatever nature. So we need to ask ourselves, is the law too lax? Is the law too firm, too hard? What policy decision can we take as a nation to address this particular problem? Because it keeps on occurring. Even as I talk to you today, there are adverts going around about some people who also claim to be dealing in diamonds. Along the same path that this young man took. And if you were living in a proper democracy, you would have heard the politicians offering us well thought out policy statements on how to address these things. We are not getting that. We are not getting that. How is a future national democracy? Because there's going to be a future National Democratic Congress government in this country at some point in our future. How will that government ensure that when they come to power, nothing like Men's Gold occurs again, or R5 or Piram? We do not hear that. They don't address us on policy. What we hear are concise arguments on why the New Patriotic Party is responsible, when all the evidence shows that this thing started in 2013 when the National Democratic Congress was in power. We should hear measures that they can do so that people will not be attracted. He was pointing at the Land Cruiser with Nana Piaminsa at the top and the 2 policemen on the side.
Yeah.
These are self-hiring policemen.
Yes.
You know, we have them in this country.
Yeah.
We have, because when you are the IGP, you are in charge of the whole police.
Yes.
So you can choose to hire out maybe 15 personnel of the Ghana Police Service to a mining company and take money. And it is happening.
Yeah.
The Ghana Armed Forces man, he does it, and the IGP also do it. They hire out people to mining companies and things. You hear all manner of atrocities happening in the rural areas. When you go, they say soldiers came to do it. Who detailed them there?
Okay.
These policemen, they hide themselves out. And I can tell you that I have been on platforms where leading members of the MPP have complained bitterly about this particular thing that Apia Mensah was doing with policemen.
Okay.
Driving in convoys and having policemen standing by his Land Cruiser, all that thing that people think is only presidential.
Okay.
Presidents who are supposed to be allowed to
doing that.
But you mean to say the IGP never got to know?
I'm sure he got to know about
We don't know of those policemen. We can't see them from the pictures.
Yeah.
What has been done
to those people,
to those police officers? So we have major policy lapses that ought to be addressed at policy level. And we are not hearing politicians offering policy solutions. What they want to do, as usual, is do what Apia means. Apia, is it the name Apia Mensah?
Yeah, Nana Apia Mensah.
Yes. They want to con us. That is what the NDC seeks to do, and possibly the MPP.
Yeah.
That, oh, we are better.
Than, and I see some equalization.
Yes, it's a con job.
Kojo, I'm sure you saw this coming.
It's a con job that is taking place. The second aspect is that I am very sad for this country. Sad for this country. Because you see, if you were to meet Apia Mensah in public, in person, and he were to tell you that, look, give me 1,000 Ghana, you won't give him.
Yeah.
the scheme that he was selling, all that you had to do was think for a bit. He started with 25% interest. And by the time he ended, he was at 10%. Now, if he's paying you 10%, it means by the end of the year, he would have paid you 120%. Even when you deal in cocaine, you can't make that sort of return. And he was doing it. And you had people. Let's look at that picture of him in Kumasi. You don't see the belly of the gentleman who was leading him. And this exposes the greed of the Ghanaian.
Yeah.
He saw that you were greedy. You were prepared to believe in miracles. So yes, he has some magic thing sitting in his mansion.
Doubling our money.
Doubling our money. So all manner of stars. Yeah. And people are dead in this country. They were talking about some soldiers, whole regiments of soldiers. They like to see their money doubled. So we are too greedy as a people. Greedy people.
Coach, I'm sure you saw this coming.
Well, I've got to say, after the second press conference of the day, I shook my head and said, as no ye. You know, because look, politicians are convinced within themselves that we are all idiots. Otherwise, they wouldn't do and say some of these things. I think they are fully convinced that there isn't a sensible voter in this country. What has Men's Gold got to do with NDC, MPP? This is a failure of state institutions.
Yes.
And this failure can be catalogued across both governments. So what business do they have insulting each other? As if somebody did something. And in fact, was it even their job? Sometimes, this is the reason why I'm saying they think we are idiots. Do we not know the role of Bank of Ghana in this country?
Yeah.
Do they take dictation from political parties?
No.
That's why when you appoint a governor, his tenure transcends the 4-year tenure of political parties.
Yeah.
Because they are not supposed to come and do your bidding. So when one party holds a press conference taking credit for what they say Bank of Ghana did under their tenure, and then accusing the other party of failing when it is actually Bank of Ghana that is failing, what idiots do they take us for? Then the other party comes to respond and says, oh, have you forgotten that Bank of Ghana is independent? So we can't tell them what to do. But guess what? Under your tenure, this is where Bank of Ghana failed. So you are a failure. Isn't Bank of Ghana independent under their tenure?
Yeah.
So you see, they think we are fools.
That's what they take us for.
So they come and tell these stupid stories and expect us all to accept them, swallow them, and forget to fix the problem.
Yeah.
Which is that our state institutions have failed us.
Yeah.
Look, when the guy started off as Men's Bank, they wrote him a letter and told him you can't use that name. They forgot about the fact that he's actually trading gold and pretending to be a microfinance.
Yeah.
They forgot about that. They didn't, slap any sanction on him, any violation. They just wrote to him that please change your name. So he changed it from bank with a K to bank with a C. What did they do? They wrote to him again.
When you ought to shut him down.
Honestly.
And you have all the powers to do that. You have the backing.
If they had done the right thing then,
what were you waiting for?
We would not be facing this situation today. But
all.
Somehow some politicians are taking credit for that failure, that ineptitude.
On the part of state institutions?
Right. So then he came out and decided that, okay, now I'm just going to go do the thing all out. I am now Men's Gold. What did Bank of Ghana do? They wrote to him. They wrote him letters. Oh, what you are doing, is it deposit taking or not? Okay, the public, please, don't go to this guy because he's doing deposit taking and you do it at your own risk. Then the guy too comes out and says, no, what you are doing is not deposit taking.
Exactly.
And
when Security and Exchanges Commission had the power to actually go shut that place down.
So Bank of Ghana is sitting back and saying, okay, they say they are not doing deposit taking, so leave them. Is that really how they operate? The company says they are not doing deposit taking, so you've left them to their devices. Now here's the worst part. You, Bank of Ghana, you sent mystery shoppers to Men's Gold to go and transact business with them. Please, what they did, was it deposit taking or not? Your mystery shoppers, do they also not know what happened when they went to Men's Gold?
Their money was
Are the mystery shoppers, I mean, are they suffering from amnesia? Yeah. When they went there, what did they do? Did they do deposit taking or not? Why is it a mystery?
That all of a sudden we're seeking to cure.
We don't understand whether they are a deposit taking organization or not. What did your mystery shoppers do? And then SEC. Oh, SEC. When they first went there in November 2007, they came out and issued a public statement, told the nation that we do not regulate Men's Gold. That's what they said.
When you have a regulation, an act backing you, there's a law that is backing you.
In August 2018, when the media made more noise about it, that they went back, had a look at it and said,
realized that
okay,
after
now
all,
we think,
they have the power.
Okay, yes, what they are doing, it falls under this. Okay, so stop taking new customers.
Only that.
So when they went the previous year, what did they see that made them come and tell us that they don't regulate Men's Gold? These are state institutions that have failed. I don't know what it has to do with NDC, MPP. I don't know what it has to do with them.
You see, the link between, what should have been the reasonable link between MPP and NDC and Men's Gold and SEC and Bank of Ghana is that these political parties are supposed to provide us with the ideological policy direction. So this is where we will tweak SEC. This is where we trick Bank of Ghana to make sure they perform for the people.
But the NDC,
does the government have the power to tweak?
But the NDC
they make the
says
laws.
that
They make the laws.
sponsored the president's 2016 campaign.
Take time and understand. Take time and understand.
I'm with you.
Take time and understand. You see, we the politicians, we govern. We govern. We pass the laws in Parliament and ensure the right direction of society. That is why MPP exists, NDC exists. So if you have this concurrent, persistent problem coming up, it means that maybe the laws may not be the best. Maybe the implementation of the laws may not be the best. What can of the laws may not? So what can
the law itself?
What? Sorry for the
That's okay.
Yes. So what can we do as a political party when we have power to protect the people better? And we are not getting that from the politicians. Let's take road safety, for instance. What is the biggest killer in this country of today? It could possibly be the roads. What has been the contribution of the political parties on road safety? You see, so when they come to you and they say, oh, NDC is responsible, and they say MPP is responsible, the question we should pose is that, how do you intend to protect us better in future? And for me, I think that this is where we, the media, should tell them, look, you stop all the claptrap, stop making noise about Rebecca Kufuor and all that. You, Gemfi, your party, if you are in power, what policies could you put in place to make sure you don't get another Men's Gold? Then you see that you'll be gasping like a fish out of water.
But you see,
because he doesn't have the answers. What he wants to do, as I said, is to con you.
But you see,
con you so that you give him votes again, so that he can come and young man ride a Land Cruiser.
Ken,
well, that's all that he's after.
If the problem was that our law, there was something wrong with our laws, if our laws somehow restricted the ability of Bank of Ghana and SEC to regulate these activities, then you could say, okay, you, this party, how will you come and solve our legal arbitrage, or how will you come and fix this lacuna in our law, so that we won't have this problem? But the existing law as it is gives them the power to do this.
But it's not being implemented.
It is not being done by the institution.
Okay, so that is why I'm saying that. That is why I'm saying that we, the politicians, we give direction. So
but
if
these are autonomous institutions,
but we appoint the boards, we appoint the chief executive.
Whoever you appoint should come and follow the law.
Yes, but
whoever you appoint.
Yes, so even if we say that when we come to power, we make sure the SEC Act is implemented. That is something. You understand?
Yeah.
So we should get commitment from the politicians on the direction, because you see, for, I think it's 6,000 people. Men's Gold, this is 6,000 people on.
Well, we're hearing of 1.8 million.
Well, all manner of
it's
figures.
not confirmed.
Yes.
I mean,
I think
the figures are many.
Yes, I'm hearing conservative figure about 6,000 people.
Okay.
For some of them, 2 million Ghana cedis, so $1 million, huge amounts of money pumped in there and basically misused and misapplied.
Okay.
Now, so forgive me.
How would we in future protect people from such?
How would we protect people? And with this attitude from these two major political parties, I don't see us going anywhere from here. It's only for me the lessons that we, the people, should learn to actually protect our investments. Because if we rely on state institutions to protect us, I bet you we'll see more than this. But in all of this, Kojo, the team that left Ghana to Dubai to try and use diplomatic ways to bring back Nana Mensah because we were told that we didn't have an extradition treaty with United Arab Emirates, and therefore it would have been difficult to go there and say we're going to extradite him. The team is back and without Nana Mensah. Now, the joint statement by the Ghana Police Service and IOCO has stated clearly what the mandate of these delegations to the UAE was, and it says that it was to determine the nature of the legal processes against Nana Mensah in the UAE, the most appropriate means by which Ghana have custody of Nana Mensah to assist with investigations involving his company in Ghana. All of these we couldn't have done by probably a phone call or a mission there. Did we have to spend all of this money? I guess we should be jumping over this news.
Okay, now that I've finished talking about the regulatory institutions, I can calm down because this is the comedy aspect of the Men's Gold saga. Okay, so supposedly Nana Mensah is under arrest in Dubai, and Ghanaian government has sent, oh no, not Ghanaian government, a delegation of security operatives have gone there to let's read them again. Then ascertain the nature of the legal processes against Nana Mensah in the UAE,
and then the most appropriate means by which Ghana can have custody of the man.
Okay. So this team, you know, UAE, before you go there, you need a visa, don't you? Okay. And UAE has an embassy here in Ghana.
In Ghana.
And when you are applying for a visa, you give reason why you are. Traveling. So this would be the reason they give
before
why they are traveling
to the UAE.
And nobody at the UAE embassy here
could provide these
could have
answers.
told them that my brothers, you don't need to travel.
To get
this is why the man
questions.
has been arrested.
Yep.
And we don't have extradition with you. So when we finish with him, you can have him.
Yes.
Nobody told them that here. So they flew. And by the way, you see, this is how international diplomacy works. Somebody here picks up the phone, speaks to somebody there. This is our situation. Can it be solved? Oh, yes, it can be solved. Send a team. When they come, we'll let them do A, B, and C, and the problem will be solved. Or, no, it can't be solved because this is what we are doing. Now, so that phone call will have happened before people got up from here and flew. When they flew, who was going to meet them at the airport there? Obviously, somebody was going to meet them there. Exactly. So this is a trip that was discussed in advance. So the purpose of the trip, was it discussed before they set off from here? And in that discussion, did the UAE tell them that, oh, come, so that we can tell you no, and then you go back?
I'm running out of time, Ken. If you look at the statement again, IOCO made it clear that Nana Mensah was cooperating with IOCO as part of investigations into possible misdemeanor in breach of the Banks and Specialized Deposit Taking Institution Act 930. Now, you remember when Gabi raised that issue on Facebook that Nana had jumped bail? And the police confirmed that indeed he had jumped bail, but that arrest was not made by the police service, but IOCO. So clearly, IOCO knew that he was at fault somewhere. IOCO was already dealing with him. How then was IOCO not able to seize his passport or his travel document or something that will ensure that this man helps in investigations, and so we could get to the bottom of matters. Is it a failure on the part of Iyoko?
We would need to go and see his bail conditions that was granted to him at Iyoko before you can come to the conclusion that maybe his passport should have been seized or should not have been, he should have been restricted in the jurisdiction and not allowed out of the jurisdiction. I do not find fault with the government delegation going to, is it the Emirates, United Arab Emirates, to go and see what they can do. In other jurisdictions, the Americans, for instance, I know they do it a lot. Whenever their citizen gets into trouble across borders, they see what they can do. If it's necessary to send State Department officials or to send the local embassy to see whether they can offer assistance, it is done. We should be interested in extraditing this gentleman back to Ghana to come and face our laws. Fortunately, unfortunately, he's breached some laws locally over there, and therefore he's in custody. Certain costs, I've heard people raising issue with the cost of the delegation, whatever. I think certain things come with governance. It is part of governance. For me, for a set of people who are security people, and I understand it was led by Deputy Attorney General, to go to the United Arab Emirates to seek to extradite him, I do not think they were breaching any laws or that even the financial concerns should be raised so much. It was necessary that they go to establish in situ on the ground exactly the position with Nana Appiah-Mensah. Because he's a person of immense interest when we get back to the local economy. We want him here. After he's finished his engagement with the authorities there, he would seek to have him brought back to this country to face whatever law that needs to be faced in this country.
And this
there
is
are
why
over 6,000 people in this country who want to see Nana Appiah-Mensah and have some dialogue with him through law. And government is interested. So these people go in there, I don't have a problem with that.
Well, this is why it may take a long time for their customers to get their money or to get justice. And I received this from Amanda Clayton, who is a lawyer for some of the customers. She says, hello, one of my clients has confirmed through his source who was in Dubai the reason Nam1 didn't come back. Reason one, he was arrested on a charge of defrauding brought against him by an Italian to the tune of $50 million. A complaint made through the foreign embassy in Emirates to Ghana close to a year did not receive the attention and action of the authorities in Ghana. The arrest is through the efforts of the victim. He has been under arrest and detention since December 7, that we know. The officials who arrived this morning are going to chase after the wind. He cannot be brought to Ghana without settlement of that debt. $50 million. Before this, we had contradictory information that he was going to chase some $69,000 million gold transaction he did to come back and pay his customers. Now we are hearing that he would have to cough $50 million. So whichever way the thing goes, it's obvious that it would take such a long time to get justice.
To be honest, I don't know. I mean, Amanda Clinton's information also contradicts other, other reports. And I mean, to be fair, Amanda Clinton told us that there are 1.8 million men's gold customers,
which happened not to be exactly
so I will say that we should verify.
Truly confirm.
We should verify some of these details.
But
one thing you mentioned, which is very important, is the fact that Iyoko arrested and bailed Nam1 in August last year. And I have on authority some aspect of his bail conditions, not all of them. One of those conditions was that he was to report periodically to Iyoko. Since September, he stopped reporting. September. Was Nam1 in Ghana in September? In October? In November? Even the beginning of December? Was he not in Ghana?
Until the 7th that he was arrested in Dubai.
So why was he allowed to continue violating his bail conditions until he got up and left? Another detail that I have confirmed is that he did not leave this country with his own passport. He did not leave with the passport that he is known to have on record.
Okay.
Whether he left with another passport with another name, or whether he left without a passport entirely, I do not know, or I cannot say. But what I can say is that he did not leave with his own passport.
Well, we'll be monitoring events, and we know that certainly will bring this matter to closure. Now, Gridco is demanding 95% increase in tariffs. PURC in the week said that it was not true that electricity tariffs will increase, but if the power transmitters are telling you that we need this money, and they also issued a warning that they cannot operate without this amount of money they are demanding, then it means that we need to take them serious. We know that there will be tariff adjustments on February 1. Will it be upwards or downwards? Ken, what would be your expectation?
I would wait for whatever to happen. I do not have enough information at this moment in time, because you know, electricity pricing takes all manner of inputs to get to the final retail decision. And as I sit here today, I do not have enough information why it should go up, remain at par, or go down. So I would wait and get further information before I comment.
But are we ready for an increase, looking at
a further increment,
the situation we find ourselves?
A further increment will not be kind.
I know TUC has been, negotiating with PURC to ensure that we don't have tariff upwards adjustments. If there will be any adjustments at all, it will be downwards. It should be downwards, because I mean,
agree with you.
Everybody can testify to how the economy is hard, and even the president himself has testified. He's admitted that there is some economic hardships.
Yeah, and there's a lot of there are a lot of Ghanaians who are facing some economic hardship. Now, Gridco has an expectation of an increase because they are looking at how much they are owed. If we are to believe what the minority is telling us, then there is about 2 billion worth of debt in the power generation sector. So that's a lot of money, and Gridco is thinking, well, look, at the current rate at which you are collecting, from customers, you might have to increase your tariffs by almost 100% in order to clear our bills. But the incoming management of ECG, the private concessionaires, are suggesting that, you know what, we won't have to increase the tariffs. We can just increase the efficiency of our collections, and based on that alone, we will actually be able to keep tariffs at last year's levels and still pay off the debt.
Okay.
Now, it's all yet to be seen. It's all yet to be tested. These concessionaires, first of all, they will come and take over with a clean slate. That's what we have been made to understand.
Yeah.
So somehow that 2 billion debt, if that figure is accurate, it must be paid. It's not the concessionaire's headache. They are just saying that when we come along, we will be efficient in our collections, so we won't have to increase tariffs in order to make profit and still pay, Gridco and wherever we are getting the electricity from.
Yes.
But who is paying the historic debt, and how are we going to clear it? That is the question that is on my mind right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to have to come from the tariffs, which means perhaps we'll see an increase before I really don't know. I don't know how they are planning to do it.
But one thing I know for sure, that an upwards adjustment will not be pleasant at all. And of course, I'm also happy because Savlugu chief Yona Abubakar Mama is now the Yana, and this man, he's being described as a unifier. Of course, we know that he's the brother of the late Yana Andani, who was killed in 2002, and we also know that he was the head of family of the Andani family. He was the head of family, so we know that he holds a lot of experience that can help him unify the Dagbon after the clash between the two gates. Now, it's not just the peace that we are enjoying. It's quite refreshing to know that at least we're breathing some fresh air, but it goes beyond that. What is the meaning of peace if it cannot be sustained? And that's the question many security analysts have raised, that now that we have gotten to this point, this is where the major part is. The test is how we're able to sustain this peace we're achieving. After almost 2 decades of fighting, it's so relieving. What, for you, Ken, what for you is the starting point in this whole journey of sustaining the peace that we've achieved?
Well, let us thank all the people who contributed in diverse ways over the years towards this particular conclusion that we have reached. The second thing I will say is that a lot will depend on the gentleman who is now the Yana to open his doors, extend a hand of conciliation to all the factions involved in this particular crisis. There were people with expectations that they had hoped to become the Yana at this particular point. If it's no longer the case and the Yana has been appointed as, or has been elected or has selected as the Yana, I think that we are on this earth for a very specific and very short duration. When I was 13, 14, I used to think like that life was young. Now that I'm getting to 50, I realize that I really do not have much time left on this earth. If anything, I've spent much more time on this earth than I should expect to live. So life is very short on this plane of existence. There must come a time where we must give peace a chance, where we must decide that we have fought enough. We ought to allow the women to trade and the children to grow into young adults as neighbors. We will plead with our brothers, the Andanis and the Abudus, to finally let go. Whatever spiritual problem there is, whatever cultural problem there is, whatever chieftaincy problem there is, we have spilled enough blood. Yeah. We have fought for too long and too hard. Let us give this opportunity a chance. Let us speak. The leaders, particularly who are in Accra and Kumasi or who are outside of the jurisdiction, all call home, speak to their people that, look, allow this peace process to work. If I do not think that we can really quantify the amount of money the state has spent in ensuring peace in the area. If you read the background of this gentleman, I think that he is somebody who has been very peaceful. This was the first time I was hearing his name.
And one refreshing thing I heard from the Bolilana, he said that anytime he turns his back, he will see him there. That shows some kind of support. And it shows the level, they respect him so much. And I think that will work. Development in that area has thought for a long time. And I believe that the topmost priority now should be the reconciliation thing. Anything less than that, I think, will hurt the bond. Kojo, what will be your expectation in that regard?
I was so pleased to see the peaceful resolution of the rites and the funeral, and then the selection of the new Yana. It was just so gratifying. It occurred to me that there must be young people who have fought in this conflict who, I mean, they were not even born in a time when the Abudus and Andanis were not in conflict. Yeah. They don't know a time when they were not in conflict. They were not born at that. So
that's what they've known all their lives.
Yes, for them, they are the concept of peace is alien. It's a new idea entirely. Imagine that your whole life you have been told that the devil is the enemy, and then all of a sudden you are being asked to make friends with the devil. Yeah. It's just an example I'm using. Nobody is a devil in this matter. But just imagine, it's an alien concept. Yeah. So they really need a reason to do it. They need a reason to do it, not just the beauty of peace, but there must be a reason why they will sustain it and keep it alive. And I'm glad to see that government is linking some development projects.
Yeah, we've heard of some water projects that's been announced.
That now that things are settling, this water project can begin, so that people in their minds will start to connect peace with progress, peace with development.
We really need it in the northern region, especially the Bon. Thanks so much for watching. Ken Crunchy is publisher, Daily Searchlights. Many thanks, Ken, for coming. It's also refreshing seeing you. Haven't seen you you.
Thank you for having me.
While.
Yes.
And thank you, Kojo. Kojo Yankson is editor. Join us. Thank you so much, Kojo, for coming. I know we'll continue tomorrow. No rest for us. Many thanks for you at home. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Enjoy the rest of our programs.